Ladies and gentlemen, this will be a two-part harmony. Lady Gaga will only be mentioned once. There will also be one air tick and one air kick. Part one began 4 words ago. When I pitched the idea of waxing lyrical to Tamara Zimmert, she emailed and said, "That sounds great. It'll be a light-hearted way to end the Lunchbox Soapbox Series 1. Whoa, 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 whoa. Light-hearted, Tamara? This is serious business. Light-hearted is me calling you Tammy or Tim Tam or Timotei Shampoo or Timbuktu or Timbuk Threesome or Zimzalabim. This is very serious. Have you heard some of the lyrics on the charts? In my day, and by the way, I'm 34, I bought my first pair of cowboy boots this year, and I'm about to move in with my girlfriend, so I'm officially allowed to say, in my day, the charts were filled with pop songs that undoubtedly had better, read less dumb, lyrics. Some of the songs were good, most were bad, but none contained lyrics as repulsively pedestrian as the following 5 songs. Quick heads up, before we go through the 5, there'll be no "my breasts are small and humble," so you don't confuse them with mountains, or my humps, my lovely lady lumps, snap. Both are almost so bad they're good, but I'm keen to look at 5 super dumb lyrics in 5 catastrophically klutzy songs that have come out within the last 3 or 4 years and entered the music charts. Number 1, Stupid Ho by Nicki Minaj. You a stupid ho, you a stupid ho, times 3. You a stupid ho, yeah, it goes on. Minaj says the word ho approximately 58 times and the word stupid around 76 times. By the end of the song, I can't help but think the title is autobiographical, which breaks my heart because I really like Nicki Minaj. Luminaries, peers like Salt and Pepper and Missy Elliott are touting her as one of the best female rappers in the game. Yet she's currently sitting at number 2 on the charts with a song called Starships. We'll get back to Nicki Minaj in a little while. Number 2, Burn by Jessica Mauboy. Look what you did to me. You cut me so deep. I need a doctor because this is starting to burn. From this confession, one can only conclude Mauboy has been fooling around with the wrong chap. Hang on, was that before or after she met with Snoop? Oh, okay. This lyrical abomination reminds me of a brief period when I managed a go-go dancing troupe and we were trying to come up with a name. After a particularly heavy night with Jason Soltry and Pete Chambers, we were sitting at the back of my house on the right side of 7 a.m. and we came up with The Burning Sensations. We were convinced it was brilliant, the girls would go for it, much like Mauboy's songwriters, I'm sure. The troupe that would eventually be called the Go-Go Girls were not impressed. Number 3, Last Friday Night, open brackets, TGIF, by Katy Perry. Sorry, close brackets, by Katy Perry. Ripped my favourite party dress, warrants out for my arrest, think I need a ginger ale, that was such an epic fail. As Liz Lemon would say, blurg. This is emblematic of what's wrong with a lot of modern chart pop. It reads like a long-winded, self-imported Facebook status update. Well, Ms. Perry, nay Brown, I want a dislike button. I realised when I was writing this how much that sounds like, you kids get off my lawn. But let me tell you, I bought my first Smash Hits magazine when I was 10 years old, so I've been building up to this talk for 24 years. Katy Perry, once more I say to you, blurg. Number 4, Magic Fountain by Art vs. Science. In the beginning there was a fountain, but it wasn't just any fountain. That's a bad start right there. It was a fountain of light, it was a fountain of truth, it was a fountain of dreams, it was a fountain of youth. It was a magic fountain. Whiskey, Tango, Foxtrot. What the? I used to work at Sanity and Fountain Gate. Is that the magic fountain they're referring to? Or is it the one on the corner of Victoria and Spring Street? That is a pretty magic fountain. I saw this song performed in regional Australia and it went down a storm. But anybody with any taste knows that Triple J have a lot to answer for. And yes, there is a market for it because you've got a huge fan base and Art vs. Science are in fact excellent musicians. Art vs. Science, you sound like perspicacious types that would look up every Lunchbox, Soapbox to see if you get a zinger, so I will say this to you. Stop making songs like this. Instead, write more songs like With Thoughts, the only good song on your debut record. Thankfully, there is a local group, a new romantic group called World's End Press, guaranteed to give you hiplash. They're set to come along with their debut album on the cusp of 2013 and rescue some of the younger generation from Art vs. Science, Crimes Against Minors. By the way, that's minors spelt both ways. Come on. Question 5. Just the Way You Are, open brackets, Drunk at the Bar, close brackets, by Brian McFadden. Don't sing along if you know the words. I can't wait to get you home so I can do some damage. Can't wait to get you home so I can take advantage. Rightfully, there was a social media furore about these lyrics when they came out and he was kicked from pillar to post. At least when Enrique Iglesias sang, "You can run, you can hide, but you can't escape my love," He wasn't so brutal and obvious. He was definitely obvious, but not brutal. When I have my children in the next few years, I don't want my son coming home singing Brian McFadden, despite my Irish heritage. I don't really want my daughter singing anything from Jessica Mauboy's debut album either. We need more Gauthier's and Kimbras to break through with songs full of wit, honesty, pathos and panache. I'll go through some positive modern examples in a moment, but first I want to ask, why are lyrics to chart hits getting worse? American musician, songwriter, arranger, record producer, and all-round radio disc jockey Steve Van Sant calls it a crisis of craft. He said the budgets aren't as high, the mentoring isn't there to create another Bruce Springsteen, and therefore less time and money is spent on the crafting of a good song. Locally, Freezer, Vic Rocks, Music Victoria and Slam are all doing great things with songwriting classes and information sessions run by Charles Jenkins, Rebecca Barnard and others. We're very lucky to have such a vibrant music community in Melbourne and can also claim to have more live music venues than Austin, Texas. Gratuitous round of applause, Melbourne, come on. Yeah. I don't think it's a crisis across the board. Anybody who's heard new albums, not chart singles, by Alabama Shakes, Canyons, Love Connection, Quakers, Graveyard Train, Unknown Model Orchestra, Adele, will realise great music is still being made. Is it the iPod's fault? I don't think so. Blaming the decrease in quality of lyrics on the iPod feels like an easy way out. Yes, attention spans are shortening, and I'm sure some of you here will drift off when I get too self-indulgent, but the public who purchase singles, mostly in the ages of 8 to 16, deserve to be served up something better. Back to Nicki Minaj, because I think she's a good example of how insipid lyrics pander to what is expected of chart hits. I admire Nicki Minaj for many reasons. She absolutely crushes her verse on Kanye West's Monster. She's taking on all the male rappers at their own game, claiming she's the new Wheezy. And she inspired those two little English girls on The Ellen Show. But she's guilty of selling her soul to singles chart pop version 2.012 on her current number 2 single Starships, over a bloody chawful electro house foundation that should have been euthanized 5 years ago. She drops this erudite wisdom. Starships were meant to fly, hands up and touch the sky. Can't stop because we're so high. Let's do this one more time. How the mighty have fallen. You compare that to her Monster verse when she raps, "Forget Barbie, fuck Nikki, she's fake. She's on a diet, but my pocket's eating cheesecake. And I'll say Bride of Chucky's Child's Play just killed another career. It's a mild day." I singled out 5 songs with hideously bad lyrics, folks, but I didn't include Umbrella by Rihanna. It's a pretty great song, let's face it. However, I need to explain something to you. You know the words, now that we still have each other, you can stand under my umbrella, you can stand under my umbrella, Ella, Ella, eh, eh, eh. Now, I've read a revealing piece of music journalism in The Believer, where the Umbrella songwriters Cuck Harold, Terrius Nash and Christopher Tricky Stewart called the Ella, Ella, eh, eh, eh hook the dumb bit. They had no qualms about this either. That's right, the guys that actually crafted it, and many other chart smashers, admit that the no-brainer aspect of the song is indeed a no-brainer. Now it's time to make an important distinction about non-lexical lyrics. On Triple R's Breakfast this last Monday morning, the great Ben Birchall thought he would catch me out, read he nearly did, by quoting the Crystal song "Do Do Ron Ron" as an example of why pop lyrics can include pretty much any sound/word as long as it's catchy. It's a good point, and it leads me here. Not so fast, Breakfaster. Anything Phil Spector is and was involved in musically has merit and beauty musically. That song was made in 1963 when doo-wop and pop were coalescing into something sublime. Pop music in general was still finding its feet, and it weaves a tale of young, hand-holding love, not cheap, lusty bluster of I kissed a girl and I'm a part-time lesbian as long as you buy my records and my perfume. On a broader level, and surely something I should have made clear a few minutes back there, is a nonsensical lyric is fine if it serves the song. The Exciters can be applauded for their 1963 hit Do-Wah-Diddy-Diddy because it's a rambunctious earworm and those wordy type things in the chorus serve the song. Writing in The Punch, Amy Crutchfield elucidated this better than I can when she wrote, "Every rocker and pop singer has the quiver of oohs, ahs, whoos and ha's to dip into. The best performers seem able to imbue even those non-lexical utterances with, if not quite meaning, an entirely satisfactory level of feeling." It worked in 1963 and it still works now. So I decree on this day, April 26, 2012, I'd like to introduce the Boom Clause. Songs like Boom Shake the Room by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Boom Boom Let's Go Back to My Room by Paula Karkas, Boom 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 by B.B. King, She's So Hot Boom by Flight of the Conchords, and Blondie's Boom Boom in the Zoom Zoom Room. I've never heard that song. How great does it sound? Are all okay in my book because the boom serves the song. You can't stay mad at an onomatopoeia. Just try to. Except, and this is the clause within the boom clause, the Venga Boys boom, 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 boom. It's just unforgivably bad. Still, I bet someone within this highbrow environment went and saw the Venga Boys at one of their many sold-out shows at the corner. Don't put up your hand. We know who you are. So in 1963, this is where I lifted up a little bit. Fast forward 49 years, and we should be getting smarter. Surely we should be evolving. Sadly, Katy Perry isn't about to become Florence the Machine. We're incredibly fortunate to have artists in the singles charts like Florence, Adele, Gautier and Kimbra, both together and separately, MGMT, Mark Ronson, because they're not pandering to the lowest common denominator. A few mornings back, Sanagol quipped to Zanro on Triple J that record companies will insist an artist works with the same producers who are making the chart hits, so everything sounds the same. So they'll get a guaranteed spot on a TV show because they want the same cookie-cutter sound that 3 other songs have. Well said, Sandy. Fuck the formula. Mentioning Florence and the... Sorry about the swearing in front of the baby. Mentioning Florence and the Machine is a nice way of balancing out my contention to and talking about some of the more erudite artists in the charts. When she arrived with Kiss with a Fist, you could see straight away she was a smart artist with a huge set of lungs and commitment to the craft of the Baroque pop songwriting. The middle passage gets me every time when she sings, "My black eye casts no shadow, your red eye sees no pain, your slaps don't stick, your kicks don't hit, so we remain the same." Again, for the affirmative in the pop charts, Kanye West's Dark Fantasy has the eminently quotable line, "Too many Urkels on your team, that's why your win's low." Generally, rappers are holding up their end of the bargain. Tyler, the Creator, is more clever than we first thought, and his odd future colleagues, particularly Frank Ocean, will be around for a while yet. Rap-wise, the ever-curious Dave Graney took up my challenge on Twitter last Friday and tweeted 2 of his favourite modern lyrics by Lil Wayne. "I just bought a house on I Don't Give a Fuck Avenue." And the next one, "I woke up this morning, dick rock hard, ash my blunt in my Grammy Award." And I guess while we're talking about rap lyrics, folks, I'll recount something Mike Myers did at the height of his Austin Powers fame. He was on MTV Awards show presenting a rap award and opened by saying, to quote Sir Mix-a-Lot, "I like big butts, I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny." And went on and went on. It was just beautiful. And I've always wanted to do that with a captive audience, so thank you. One last one before part 2. Mike Snow's new record contains the single Paddling Out. It should have charted. It's an incredible track. These guys used to be pinch-hitting songwriters for the likes of Britney. Paddling Out has the lyrics, "There's someone here who laughs too hard at everything," which I think is just slams. What a crying shame, though, the kids that buy singles weren't properly exposed to it. Mainstream radio playlists, you're worthy of a whole other Lunchbox Soapbox. I conclude part 1 by saying there is a glimmer of hope, but by and large, the singles pop charts globally have gone very Jar Jar Binks and need a rewrite like that Jar Jar Binks line. Part 2, ding ding. It's a little more upbeat, a little more hopeful. I'll be making some very fanciful claims and hopefully making some of you angry and others exultant. These claims you will enjoy rebutting and or rebuking when I bump into you at a house party, a concert or Aldi. I want this second half to focus on whether modern lyricists, modern meaning this time the last decade, who aren't focused on singles chart success. I'm talking about respected and indeed revered songwriters and seeing how they match up to the likes of Bob Dylan, Patti Smith, Lou Reed, Brian Wilson, Leonard Cohen, Ozzy Osbourne, early Madonna and Joe Dolce. Neil Young should be included in this esteemed list, but I have to remind you, 2 clangers in the horse with no name. Firstly, the heat was hot. Secondly, there were plants and birds and rocks and things. Thanks, Neil. The modern lyricists I'm putting into battle are Beck, Win Butler from Arcade Fire, James Murphy from LCD Sound System, RIP, Nick Cave, PJ Harvey, Mike Patton, Old Madonna, as in New Madonna, and Flight of the Conchords. Now, Bob Dylan once called Beck the best artist of his generation, and for mine, the most sane Scientologist in the world is numero uno when it comes to peons with pathos and princely power. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pit an oldie with a newbie and decide who wins. It's completely subjective to my tastes, but I have the Lunchbox Soapbox, so bugger off and get your own. But I'm going to need a show of hands before I do each one. Beck versus Dylan. Hands up for Beck. Hands up for Dylan. Okay. IMO, the best modern Beck lyric is from Deadweight, which we may play later if you're well behaved. Oh, say can't you see the chemistry, the parasites who clean up things. Death letter hands, recycle cans, get well cards to the hostage vans. Don't let the sun catch you crying. He makes the act of staring too hard at the orb in the sky into a chorus and simultaneously fills the lyric with joy and dread. He covers environmental concerns, the ever-fluctuating nature of relationships, pathetic governments, and perhaps even cancer over a sexy samba beat. The best Bob Dylan I'll offer up is All Along the Watchtower. No reason to get excited, the thief he kindly spoke. There are many here among us who feel that life is but a joke. Superbly structured lyric with a pacey narrative, sense of intrigue, but I'm going to have to give that one to Beck. Dylan didn't even do the best version of that song. As an aside, Paul Kelly needs to be mentioned as he's unequivocally qualified to take on Dylan, and along with Gareth Lydiard, he continues to tell us stories within his songs and completely transport us through the power of verse, chorus, verse. Next up, James Murphy or Lou Reed. Reach for the sky. James Murphy or Lou Reed? James Murphy, you're my man. Both citizens of New York, the best James Murphy lyric is Someone Great, which I think is about suicide or a pet dying or a relationship splintering apart. I still don't know. The lyric is, I wake up and the phone is ringing, surprised as it's early. And that should be the perfect warning that something's a problem. Versus Lou Reed, perfect day. Just a perfect day, drink sangria in the park. And then later when it gets dark, we go home. Now, I know Lou Reed was heavily into heroin at the time. That's a bit of a meh ending. We go home. It's the sound of a shrug. Lou Reed loses for two reasons. One, Metallica and Lou Reed's collaboration is still ringing in my ears, so he's punished retrospectively. And two, he has to own up to his own clanger in Walk on the Wild Side when he says, but she never lost her head, even when she was giving head. But-bow. Writing and arranging such a great song helped cover his tracks, but it was too late, Lou Reed. James Murphy, just picture there. Win Butler of Arcade Fire versus Brian Wilson. Hands up for Arcade Fire. A few there. Brian Wilson, Brian Wilson. Thank you very much. It seems like a David and Goliath, but from Win Butler, I offer you this from Neon Bible. In the light of a golden calf, oh God, I had to laugh. Take the poison of your rage. Don't lick your fingers when you turn the page. It was wrong, but you said it was right. In the future, I will read at night. Stirring stuff. Brian Wilson conjured up gold dust with God Only Knows, expertly used on shows like The Wonder Years and many, many, many films. If you should ever leave me, though life would still go on, believe me, the world could show nothing to me. So what good would living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. Frankly, Brian, you sound a little clingy. And suicidal. Smile, why don't you? Come on. Who knew Win Butler was a better lyricist than Beach Boys' melodic mastermind? I'm shocked. Mike Patton versus Ozzy Osbourne. Mike Patton. Ozzy Osbourne. Don't care. From the start of this talk until now, Mike Patton of Faith No More, fandom as Tomahawk and PB Thomas actually started 4 new bands just in that space of time. He gave us It's Always Funny Until Someone Gets Hurt, Then It's Just Hilarious. So good. That's Faith No More's Ricochet. Compare that to Ozzy Osbourne's efforts. Has he lost his mind? Can he see or is he blind? Can he walk at all? Or if he moves, will he fall? That could quite easily be a scene from the Osbourne's reality TV show as Ozzy fumbles for the remote. No bat heads for you tonight, Ozzy. The multi-talented man from San Francisco gets the chocolates. Now, early Madonna versus new Madonna. Let's not even go there. Let's move on. Okay, it's early Madonna. Nick Cave versus Leonard Cohen. Hands up for Nick Cave. Leonard Cohen. Ooh, tight there, Tyler. There's a kid laying on the lawn. The neighbour's on the telephone. The dispatcher asks, what's going on? Please, sir, what's going on? The kid is laying on the lawn. He's been giving me shit for years. Won't somebody touch me? Oh, someone please touch me. That's Nick Cave. Versus Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. Now, I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Yeah, I think Leonard wins that battle, Dr. Cave. John Lennon versus Jack... How did this get in here? John Lennon versus Jack Johnson. Jack ain't got Jack on John. Fun to write, fun to say. Patti Smith versus PJ Harvey. Tough call, hands up. Patti Smith, PJ Harvey. Patti Smith? PJ Harvey? Paddy's the horses. The boy was in the hallway drinking a glass of tea. From the other end of the hallway, a rhythm was generating. Another boy was sliding up the hallway. He merged perfectly with the hallway. He merged perfectly the mirror in the hallway. Versus PJ Harvey, the words that maketh murder. I've seen and done things I want to forget, coming from an unearthly place, longing to see a woman's face. Instead of the words that gather pace, the words that maketh murder. I'm going to give that a tie, and frankly, I find it a little sexist and a little token the two females were pitted against each other. I think you should all be ashamed of yourselves. Last matchup, a bit of fun. Flight of the Conchords versus Joe Dolce. Pause up for Flight of the Conchords. Joe Dolce, racists. Joe Dolce was the most played 7-inch record in my house between 1983 and 1988. When I was a boy, just about 8th grade, Mummy used to say, "Don't stay out late with the better boys. Always shoot a pool. Giuseppe going to flunk a school." The halcyon days of pre-political correctness. Versus Flight of the Conchords, the hip-hopopotamus versus the rhinoceros. Sometimes our rhymes are polite, like, "Thank you for dinner, Miss Wright. That was very delicious. Good night." Sometimes they are obscene, like a pornographic dream. NC-17 with ladies in a stream of margarine. Yeah, some margarine. I'm going to award that victory to Brits and Jermaine because my girlfriend's a Kiwi, and the fact that Flight of the Conchords wrote 2 whole albums of musical comedy in myriad styles. So the verdict is in, folks. The lyrics within recent singles charts equals dumb getting dumber, with exceptions. The lyrics within modern albums were doing just fine. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for indulging me with a rather non-linear way and some light-hearted fun. Thank you, Zim Zellabim. Cheers. As a quick epilogue, writing that was like writing a song. I hope I got rid of all the dumb bits. Last night I overshot Croxton Station by 5 stops at 11:30 while I was doing rewrites. I was that into this task. It was just a true joy to tackle. On my connecting train on the way back, I felt a serendipitous, almost Daniel Kitson's sensation when I saw a kid on the train, all of 15, shaggy hair, strumming away at a guitar to a virtually empty carriage. It reminded me of how Beck honed his craft by catching the buses around downtown LA with no direction home, playing until he found his lyrics and his timbre, refining his style in public transport, and I knew that would be the end of this talk. Okay. Cool.